Welcome back. This is the We Don't Know Sports podcast, and we've missed you guys. It has been since December since we have graced you with our presence. This is Chad the Mark with
Mr. Brown.
Canadian Biggie.
And we are back after being hacked. We got attacked from Pakistan and all kinds of stuff. We had to relaunch our social media pages, but I think business is picking up. Is that fair to say? Are we doing a little better now?
Oh, hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah.
Business is about to pick up. It already has, actually.
That's Mr. Brown's music.
It has. Hit my music.
It was just a nightmare, man. We had to fight with Facebook and all kinds of stuff. But you know what? We're not to be deterred. We are going to continue to bring you content that we know you desperately crave.
I just want to say real quick, though, I feel bad for anybody out there that uses Facebook as their primary way to advertise for their actual business.
Absolutely.
Like, this is a hobby we do on the side. We actually have jobs. So then we're like sitting there doing our jobs, and then we do this on the side. Well, then Facebook support was zero help.
Zero.
They didn't care that we was making some money off merchandise and advertising or whatever. But I couldn't imagine if that was your livelihood.
Like they were no help. The only way that we're even back as We Don't Know Sports is we had to file copyright infringement and have the old page taken down because it was hijacked and they wouldn't let us get it back. It was
Lots
terrible.
of booties with thongs.
Yes, and we realized that maybe we should post more booties and thongs.
But never swipe up.
Don't swipe up because that's like malware or something. Something bad's happening there. But we're glad to be back. Biggie, you glad to be back?
I'm excited.
I can tell. Listen to the excitement in his voice.
Well, it's just there's a lot of frustration that goes into that. I mean, come on. It's sports and some laughs.
Well, speaking
Let
of
us roll.
sports and laughs, right now the world's on fire, but we wanted to let everyone know who's tuning into the podcast. We know it's been a while since we've done a show, but we're going to promise you that all we're going to talk about is sports because, the news is terrible right now. It's toxic. You watch it, it consumes you, and it gets you in a bad place. We don't want to put you in a bad place. We want to make you laugh. We want to make you educated. We want to talk about stuff that's actually related to sports and nothing else. Is that fair to say? Can we commit to that tonight?
Absolutely. We don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. We don't care if you're an alien. We don't care. We don't care if you believe in unicorns, conspiracy theories. Come on board, listen to us, please. Just listen to our show.
Follow the White Rabbit.
Your whole life, you've turned to sports as an outlet for whatever was going wrong. Well, we're going to give you the best that we got.
Yeah, because ESPN sucks. Like, if you like ESPN, this ain't for you. But if you just like sports, listen to us. At least we'll have some fun in the meantime.
That's right.
All right, so let's talk about the NFL. Let's just start there because we have playoffs that are right around the corner. Biggie, do you have the matchups here of everything that's going on? Because a lot's happened since we've last been together. So we just want to kind of talk about the playoff games. We got some interesting matchups. This is the expanded field. We haven't seen this before. But the NFL, despite COVID and all kinds of nonsense going on this year, we've made it. Except for the Browns. They've kind of made it. We'll see how that ends up. So, Biggie, what's the first game we got on the docket this weekend?
The Indianapolis Colts at Buffalo Bills.
Well, I think for me, Buffalo is one of those teams that can win it all, right? Like they're a contender, not a pretender.
You always look at teams going into the playoffs. It's not who was the best during the regular season. It's who's the hottest. Chiefs have been winning, but not blowing out teams they should have. Bills have been killing everybody.
How wrong have I been about Josh Allen? Like I thought he was just the guy that was going to overthrow everybody, and they give him Stephon Diggs, and he looks like John Elway out there now.
And what's insane about the Bills is that they don't really have a committed running game. They have Moss, they have Singletary. They kind of mix them in game plan wise, but you got freaking Josh Allen out there bombing the Diggs, and then he's probably leading the team in rushing touchdowns without me looking. If I had to guess, it would be Josh Allen.
Like if you're a Bills fan, you got a Josh Allen jersey now, right?
Absolutely.
I'd say you have to. If you're a true Bills fan, you're running with Josh Allen.
Everybody was wrong about him coming out of the draft. I think he has cemented himself as the future in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
Everyone except for a contributor to our page, Ryan Bonehammer Breckel, who had him being what he is today.
Did he pick him off in college or high school? Is that what happened? No.
So he was high on him from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
He's the only person I know who wrote him from the beginning.
So our hockey insider not only knows hockey, he knows Josh Allen's scouting
He tells
report.
us all the time he knows football better than hockey, but we just kind of dismiss it.
Well, after this fantasy season, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, you too, but still.
Yeah, hey,
sorry.
easy now. I do not need unsolicited jabs about fantasy football right now.
Two questions on this game. One, Buffalo's at home. They're going to allow 6,500 fans in. Weather's going to be crap. First time they've had a whole playoff game in how many years since what?
They'll be lucky if it's only
was starting for them,
6,500.
Rob Johnson.
Something like that.
Philip Rivers for the Indianapolis Colts. Is this his last game?
Yes. Absolutely. There's no way the Colts win this game. Buffalo is clearly the better team top to bottom. And don't sleep on Buffalo's defense. They have a great defense, too. I think they're a well-rounded team. I anticipate them making at least the AFC Championship game. So sorry, Colts fans. Philip Rivers is one and done. And I don't know where you go from here if you're the Colts.
The Colts have played well down the stretch, like really well.
They have.
But they're no match for Buffalo. And I know we're not picking against the spreads like we normally do. So I feel like it makes it easier. I've got to ride Buffalo.
We're all on the same page. We're all riding Buffalo. They are a 6.5-point favorite just because we do normally pick against the spread for those out there listening.
We do. But if I had to pick against the spread, I'd say the Bills probably cover.
Yeah, I like them in this game.
I think it's going to be a massacre, actually. I think the Bills are going to come out like a team possessed. They're a team of destiny, so to speak, and we're going to see it rise up.
They had nothing to play for this last Sunday. Before the game started, Josh Allen was not out there warming up with Barkley and the third string. I don't know who that is. All of a sudden, he's on the field. He plays about a quarter and a half and just lights them up. Like, this Bills team is ready to roll.
They're scary, man.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next game?
Next game, we have the Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks.
Is Goff playing?
As of right now, we don't know. About 2 hours ago, Sean McVay said he will not announce a starter for this game.
So that's not good. So that being said, there's no way I can have any confidence in the Rams. I'm just saying that. I'll let you digest that how you want. You tell me what you think.
Well, I had some different people this week when I was watching my NFL shows tell me how the Rams are better off with Jared Goff, not a quarterback, because they won one game against a depleted team that
in
had
week
Kyler
17.
Murray for like a quarter. To me, this game's a pick-em if Goff's in there because of how good the Rams' defense is. Without Goff in there, I'd like Seattle, and I'd take them if they were touchdown favorite.
It's in Seattle, right?
Yes.
And how many games at home has Russell Wilson lost in the playoffs?
Is that 0?
It is 0.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there. There's no fans, though, so that could be arbitrary.
I can't say that if Goff was playing, I wouldn't pick the Rams because Seattle scuffled down the stretch here.
They were like a wounded duck.
So I would probably look at the Rams, but the fact we don't know who's starting, I got to go Russell. And maybe he's a star, man. He's going to shine when it means the most.
You were on the Rams this last week, even with the backup quarterback, and you had the right pick because they covered against Arizona. They were the dog in that game.
Week 17.
Exactly. He played against the midget, right?
All right. What's the next game?
We have
Can't say
the
midget.
GOAT,
No, sorry.
TB12, the Academy, the one, the only, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're playing in D.C.
Against the Washington football team. And I'll take it from here because I'm going to tell you that I will not have a rooting interest in a team in the playoffs more than I will for the Washington football team against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because the way the story is setting up, it's setting up for Tom Brady to have this miracle rise through the NFC playoffs. And it would only be our luck for those who are tired of seeing him win, for him to find a way back to the Super Bowl. And God forbid Tom Brady wins one without Belichick. It's just going to be like the ultimate salt in the wound for people that are tired of seeing Brady. Now, that being said, I love Alex Smith. He looks like he's going to play. It's kind of like the LA Rams. They're not really sure what they're doing with the quarterback here, but God, tell me you can't be pulling for Alex Smith. Even you, Biggie, as a Brady fan, tell me you wouldn't be sad if you see Alex Smith pull this off.
I got to tell you something. This game right here, it's like my Pats are in the playoffs. Brady's there, Gronk there. I'm hardcore. I'm a Bucs fan. True. I want them to go through NFC title game in Lambeau. Brady, Rodgers, frozen tundra. That is my hope. That is the only thing I'm rooting for. I will watch this entire game as though I was watching a Patriots game.
That's NFL's hope, too.
That sounds a lot like you.
Having said that, the Washington football team is 5-1 this year with Alex Smith at quarterback, who since the beginning of the season, first time he hit the field, I said, rename the award after him. I'm hardcore on the Bucs. I want them to go as far as they possibly can. This Washington football team is the hardest loss I'll watch all year because Ron Rivera, Alex Smith, they're guys, you root for them even if you're not a fan. You can be, you're the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, you're still rooting for those two guys.
Well, Biggie stole my thunder with the 5-1 with Alex Smith under center, but everyone wants to dog the NFC East because they finished 7-9, right? But this isn't the 7-9 team. This is a 5-1 team coming down the stretch with Alex Smith. They're playing good football.
It's like the Ohio State Buckeyes, right? They don't have to play everybody.
It's almost like destiny. You got Ron Rivera, you've got Alex Smith. I feel like they're going to go in and they're going to battle, but I just feel like Tampa has too many weapons. But is Mike Evans playing?
He returned to practice today on a limited basis.
So even if he's limited, he can still be a decoy, and AB may have to do a little bit more.
I so badly just want to say the Buck stops here, but I can't.
I've got to pick the Bucks, but I feel like it's going to be a close game.
All right, real quick before we move on to any other games, we got to discuss how Washington made the playoffs. And that shit show that was it the Sunday night game or the Monday night game?
Sunday night game. I just know that because I remember Chris Collinsworth. I remember listening to him.
So it was a Sunday night game, and they're calling, because Al Michaels called them the Redskins like twice, and he got roasted on Twitter for that.
Really?
But, yeah. But, when you're watching.
No, that was Collinsworth.
It was both of them.
Oh, okay.
So either way, it was a dumpster fire of a game because, we were talking about this before the mics were on. Mr. Brown's question is, what the hell is Philadelphia doing? Why are you making the decision to put in Nate Sudfeld in the fourth quarter?
The memes are everywhere. So what? I was asleep because, I fall asleep at 8 o'clock sometimes.
You're old. That's what old people do.
So what happened?
Well, I will say this before Chad the Mark puts it into perspective. Had Philadelphia really planned on losing this game, they would have just started Carson Wentz.
That's so my perspective on it is I think the call came from the top. I think they decided that 6 is better than 9, so they wanted to get a better draft pick. The other thing too is I couldn't help but wonder if it was just a message to Wentz, right? Like, we know that's on the outset's done. And they said before the game they thought about playing Sudfeld. They just wanted to get him on the field. The problem was they played a pretty good game through 3 quarters, so they didn't really have an opportunity to put him on the field. Then they decided, it's like, well, it's the fourth quarter, let's go ahead and put him in there.
So was it the whole fourth quarter?
It was almost like 13 minutes left. It was pretty much.
And what was the score at the time?
They were down by 3, I think.
17-14.
So Hurts was like handling his business. He was in the game.
He didn't play great, but it was a close game.
But they were in the game.
He didn't play great, but he
didn't play terrible either.
One rushing.
Yeah,
the Eagles are in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
And you just throw in this other guy who has zero credibility with Wentz on the bench.
Well, that's the thing. When it happened, you're looking Hurts has to be hurt. Why is he not on the field? And they show pictures of him on the sideline, and he's just kind of sitting there with his arms at the side, and he's just like, what's going on here?
If they're really tanking for a draft pick, do you not think they're smart enough to throw Hurts in the freaking tent and be like, he's injured right now?
Well, that could lead to a whole other
How do they know?
There was a bunch of reports.
You got to sell it, man.
I got a migraine.
Yeah.
Some of the players on that team had to be held back.
They're ready to fight
Peterson. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Kelsey was not one of them. They said they saw him like John with Peterson, but what he was making sure that's what was happening. And then he took Sudfeld over to the side with the offensive line. They started doing snaps, trying to get used to the snap count. But the image after the game of Kelsey and Ertz just sitting there
hours after the game,
like it's like the end of an era for the Eagles, and it is like they're not that far away from winning the Super Bowl. And how Peterson still has a job is beyond me. Like, is Carson Wentz that bad, or is it some of the play calling? I think it's a little bit of both. But like, if you're the Eagles, do you not want to move on from Peterson now? Like, forget the Super Bowl. Like, it's time to look at the future. Is he damaged goods?
Well, when you look at it, the year that you were super successful, you had Frank Wright, Joe DeFelice. Defense was on par. You were loaded on both sides of the ball. Since then, you've really struggled to be a competitive team, even though they've been in the playoffs. When you've lost those coaches, I think that Peterson lost his team in the last few games of this year.
Yeah, they just got to let him go. That's me.
I got to say this as a Patriots fan. When you guys had that parade and you talked about how you could win and have fun, boom, boys. That's what happens. Commit to being great every day.
Well, they were about as good as the Patriots this year, so good analogy. What's the next game on the docket?
Long-term greatness, asshole.
Just not this year. They're going to re-sign Cam. What's the next game?
No.
So, to me, this is the game of the weekend.
Ooh.
It was last year's playoffs. It was a surprise upset at that point. They went to overtime when they played this year. Baltimore, at Tennessee.
Ooh, I like it.
It is. My question is, before I tell you what I think, is Tennessee just in Baltimore's head because of last year?
I want to say yes, but I can't because the way Baltimore's finished this season.
Baltimore played well down the
I think they
stretch.
look at everybody as like Happy Gilmore when he's going after the quarterback.
All right, so Happy Gilmore when he's going after the quarterback.
I'm
Bobby
sorry.
Boucher.
Bobby Boucher. I'm sorry, I'm way off the
The
rails.
price
here,
is wrong, Bob.
but you're looking at everybody else and you're just putting a little baby face on them. That's what Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are doing right
But
now.
who did the Ravens beat down the stretch?
A bunch of really bad teams that
Okay.
they should have killed.
Just throwing that out there.
I'm gonna jump in before you give us the voice of reason, A-Rod.
It's never the voice of reason.
Derrick Henry is your rushing leader. What, 2 years in a row?
Yes.
Over 2,000 yards?
Not even close. Correct.
Here's what's going to happen. Tennessee's going to come out strong. They're going to develop the tempo here. They're going to establish it. He's going to run wild on them, and then it's going to force Lamar to come throw out of the pocket. Tennessee's moving on again.
I'm 100% with you. And if I'm not mistaken, did Tennessee not lead the NFL in points scored this year, or at least top 3?
They were right in that area.
They're somewhere up there. And like people are like, oh, it's just all Derrick Henry. Like people don't sleep on Tannehill, man. Tannehill had
Did
a
you pick Baltimore?
hell of a year. He hasn't picked yet. We've taken that from him.
Oh.
But
No, I was already on Tennessee, but once you guys went ahead and went,
you're just going to write it down. We're
Yeah.
just good there. So
I feel the same. This Tennessee team is built the right way,
Yep.
and what you guys just said, you get out and you make Lamar play from the pocket, you make him be a little bit more of a passer.
And their receivers are trash. They drop passes all the time too. So like even when Lamar makes a throw, they can't catch it.
And what's the other thing you just asked me? Who have they beaten? Yeah, they've
right.
ran off some wins. They've done it against bad teams. The only team they beat that's in the playoffs is the Browns.
And I'm in the kind of stance where I'm going to just pick against Lamar until he wins the
one.
playoff game. Yeah.
They have memes out there legit that shows Lamar, and I think it's the Hawk actually. It's like normal Bruce Banner
Like
during
regular
the playoffs.
season Lamar.
Yeah, then in the regular season it's the Hawk. So he hasn't proven himself yet
No, he's not
at all.
So we're all riding the Titans.
You got to get over the hump.
Yeah, but he's not doing it this year.
No.
No. Next game.
Next game, this to
Next.
me is the worst game of the weekend, but we shall find
It's a
out.
playoff game. It can't be that bad.
It's got to be the Chiefs and somebody.
No. We got the Fighting Mitch Trubisky's on the road.
I keep forgetting
in
they
the
made it.
dome. I don't know if there's fans there or not. Drew Brees, Sean Payton, they're at home. They're a 9.5-point favorite.
So I'm
And
sorry.
they have all their running backs this week.
The Bears are trash. The Saints are winning this game. It's in Nolans, and I don't have anything else to really add to that. The Bears are lucky to be there. They have like the consolation, the participation trophy for just making the playoffs.
Well, Trubisky beat my fantasy team with Mahomes in
did.
fantasy championship, and I lost $900. So I hope the Saints steamroll them by like 40 points. So I'm going Saints. I just don't know by how much.
We're all in agreement. So far, through 5 games, we're all in agreement.
That's scary.
Crazy how much
Easy when it's not
different it
against the
is
spread.
when we're doing pick'ems instead against the spread.
It's a lot different.
The last game, and
I didn't think I thought I was going to be alone on Tennessee, to be honest.
Nah, it's,
I just until I'm with Chad
I think
until he
we're all
wins
on the
one.
same- yeah, he's got to prove us wrong.
Yep. Last game of the weekend, most interesting game if you look at it just from the
Oh, the
yearly
Chiefs aren't
perspective.
playing. They got a
No,
bye.
they are. That's
And
okay.
the Packers.
I was letting it slide.
Cleveland Browns with whoever they have. I know they don't have Stefanski at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's
So
currently a 6-point
I got to
favorite.
start on this one, okay? So I got to tell you, just being a Bengals fan, watching the AFC North and everything, like I'm pulling for Cleveland hard, like I really am, and I'm tired of Steelers fans. I'm just
And your old man.
and the old man's a Browns fan, like so. I'm pulling for the Browns hardcore. And the Browns have faced more adversity over the past 3 weeks than any team in football. And they're in a county that has like the highest COVID rate infection in the country. And it's showing because they can't keep it out of their locker room. So, yes, they lost to the Jets, but they didn't have an entire wide receiving core and they still almost came back and won. And this wasn't something that happened on like Wednesday. It was like Saturday. Oh, by the way, you don't get any of your wide receiver room in the game. Like, how do you even go forward with that? How do you even game plan after that? Now they get dealt a blow with Stefanski. So the most Browns thing in the world would be for them just to lay down and get rolled over here. My hope is that somehow they're able to put something together and they could upset the Steelers, because the Steelers all year we said were the worst undefeated team in history. They proved us right there. They started blowing some games. The Colts, who I think are also going to lose in the playoffs, put the Steelers back on track by letting them wake up. The Steelers, by all intents and purposes, should win this game. I think they will. It hurts me to say that. I want the Browns so bad. But, I mean, how do you take the head coach away and then expect a similar result? I think they'll do enough to make it competitive, but it's not going to happen.
So you're on the Steelers.
Unfortunately.
I don't know how or why, but you've compelled me to go with the Browns.
That's okay. I'll accept that. If it means the Browns win, and if I compel you to take the Browns because I took the Steelers begrudgingly, I will take that. I will wear that badge of honor.
I just want them to rise up. That's all.
I do too.
That's all. And that's all I got.
So maybe I'm just doing that thing where you want them to rise up so bad you pick against them just so you're wrong.
By Biggie's facial expressions, I think I stole his thunder after he stole my 5-1 Alex Smith thunder. So how's it feel? Why do you think the Browns will win? I didn't give any insight, so why are they going to win?
Are you taking the Browns?
Feels like a mosquito's on my nuts, and I whacked it, not thinking.
Smells extra vinegary in here all of a sudden.
Why are they going to win?
Here's why I think the Browns win. They are built to play playoff football.
They are.
Okay?
Run
I know
game,
Olivier Vernon's down, so they only have Myles Garrett coming off the end. You've got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. You drafted Baker Mayfield #1 overall. If they didn't win and get into the playoffs this year, he wasn't getting his 5th-year extension as
Probably
#1
not.
pick in the draft. Baker wanted to go to Cleveland. He wanted to be the guy that turned that franchise around. You run the offense. What do all these quarterbacks do now? They call the plays at the line from the huddle. This is your chance to show why you were the #1 pick. You're the leader of this franchise. You're the face of this franchise. You game plan all week long. You go out there and you put 27 on the board and you win.
I hope you're right. I'm going to say this, too, about the future of the Browns. If they do win and they re-sign Baker Mayfield, not just the extra year, but if they get him long-term, it's like a perfect scenario for the Browns to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come, because Baker Mayfield is not the elite-level quarterback, but he's not garbage either. So he's kind of in the middle of the road. So you got to give him a contract, but you don't have to overpay.
Yep.
So if you can get him at like a decent deal and you're locked in a quarterback for the next 5 years, at least you know how you structure the rest of your team. That could be like the perfect storm.
The Browns finally got it right with the head coach. Stefanski fits that organization. His game perfect for their personnel. I know that he's not here this week, and that's why we should say that they're going to lose. But when you look at quarterback, head coach combos throughout the years, I think in 4 or 5 years, we look at Stefanski and Baker with them continually being a competitive team.
They're going to be like a Sean Payton and Drew Brees combo.
Something like that.
So my only other reason why I can't take the Browns is the most Browns thing in the world is to celebrate making the playoffs and then getting bounced in the first round.
Yep.
That's what they would do. So I'm just sitting there. So, all right. So that's our games, right? So that's the only game we differed on?
Yes.
I'm the lone wolf.
You are the solo lone wolf.
For the Pittsburgh Steelers, for the Yinzers out there who eat pierogies in old Catholic churches and whatnot. That's me. So I'll accept that, and I hope it's just a kiss of death that my one lone wolf was wrong and we got everything else right. But anyway, that was our NFL wild card. Stone cold lead pipe locks without the spread. Picks of the week. Well, we know it's January and you can't get enough of football, so let's switch to the college football playoff. We are down to the title game. It is the Ohio State Buckeyes taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but after watching Ohio State against Clemson, I got to be pulling for Justin Fields and the Buckeyes. Am I in the minority here, or are you with me?
You're in the minority.
Why?
Why are you pulling for Ohio State? How many different things had to be changed for them to be eligible for the game?
Look, I get that. The fact is, we are where we are. It is what it is. I was the first one to tell you that Ohio State didn't belong in the playoff. And even though they won, I still tell you they don't belong in the playoff because, like you said, so many things had to be changed. We had to change the rules just so they could be a part of it. But now that we're here, I just admire the fact that Justin Fields went through a car crash. We got a moment where it looks like he's left for dead. He comes back out. He plays the game of his life. Maybe he got injections into his hips and ribs, but either way, man, that was like a moment in time right there. You got to appreciate that. And I hope that he's able to play 100% in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I hope the game's played on its original date and that he can play it 100%.
They're not going to move it for COVID?
Well,
as of the
Justin
recording,
Fields needs longer to heal.
It's January 7th, and as of right now, we think the game's still taking place on Monday.
We do. On the Alabama side of it, Jalen Waddle's been at practice. They haven't said whether or not he'll play in this game.
No, but he's back.
Yep.
So it's interesting. He's supposed to be their best receiver, and he's not the guy that won the Heisman.
So 2 notes on this game. As we talk about it, we're just picking who we think will win. Alabama is a 7.5-point favorite, and the over-under on this is 74.5. See what it is at game time? It could end up being the highest over-under in CFP or championship game history.
As a guy that just hates things that are elitist, I hate Alabama. I hate Ohio State. So it's really tough to pick a rooting interest here, but I just want to see Justin Fields play well because I love the grit and determination he showed in the last game.
The one thing for me was Ohio State. Everyone, like everyone said, they don't belong there.
No, not.
But guess
they
what?
Really don't.
Based on the schedule, they didn't belong there. But when they showed up this past week, they showed they belong talent-wise.
They whipped Clemson's ass.
So no one really expected them to beat Clemson. I mean, the majority, I wouldn't think. So, I mean, like, what?
Well, I'm just saying they did have like 4 weeks to prepare for Clemson.
I mean, I got that, but they were still the underdog, correct?
Were they the underdog?
They had to be.
They were a 6.5-point underdog.
They were the 6.5-point underdog, but they had 4 weeks to prepare for that one team.
Exactly.
No, I guess they did play a game here or there between then.
Clemson had whipped them a couple times previous in the college football playoffs. So Ohio State as a whole had a little bit of extra, let's go get them. And then last year when they played, they lost to Clemson, but they felt like there was a bad call within the game review that went against them. So they kind of had that extra, let's
Are you
get
talking about the bobble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and Chad can laugh all he wants, but like, yeah, you had 4 weeks to prepare, but that's also 4 weeks you're not playing. So that could go 2 different ways.
Well, it kind of goes back. Like I'm the first to say that Ohio State probably shouldn't be there. They really shouldn't. And that's not saying they're not one of the best teams. It's just that you didn't do what you were supposed to do to take care of business. Like whether it was you or the other team. In some cases, it was Maryland or whoever that didn't have things right and COVID struck the game down. But
well, the way the Big Ten
you can't get mad at Ohio State because the Big Ten told them they weren't playing.
No, but there were some times where Ohio State did something to screw themselves from playing the game. So like it kind of falls on both sides of it. But it kind of goes back, and I don't want to get into a whole diatribe on that we should have more than 4 teams in the playoff because I think the 3 of us all agree that it should be more than 3 teams, right?
Right.
We do.
I think Alabama's going to win, but like if Ohio State found a way to win, it wouldn't upset me. I think because Nick Saban thinks he walks on water and Alabama at this point.
Is he going to get COVID for the 4th time?
He might.
Is that how it's going to work?
No, he's going to win his 6th national title in the last 12 years at Alabama.
But you do go back and you look at like Cincinnati and Georgia played, and Cincinnati barely lost that game. They
should have won that game. They couldn't have gave it away.
But, it's one of those things where, like, if you had an 18 playoff, maybe things are different. Maybe you get to see some different matchups. And I understand that typically in college football, your top 1, 2, maybe 3 teams are, like, far and away better than the rest. But, like, don't you want to at least give a chance to some of these teams?
Well, to me, this year more than any other just showed us how this will never change. If anything, it'll get worse because Ohio State, by all rights, shouldn't have been there on merit. Yet they got in and they have the talent. And Ohio State will always have the talent, as will Clemson, Georgia.
This is not an NCAA title.
No.
It is a ESPN title.
Pretty much.
It's a television title.
Yep.
And that's what it is. And you just have to accept that. And
until the money comes into play to make it, something like you've proposed before with the
give me
you have 5 Power 5 schools.
Somebody's always left out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here making a big case that, like, this is the year USC should have been in there. Like, this year screwed up. I get that. But, man, what I don't get is they talked about how, like, they can't do expanded playoffs because, the kids are in school. Like, man, we had games in, like, every week in December this year.
Well, like this year, though, you had Cincinnati was the 8th seed, and they played, who was the 9th?
They played Georgia. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it was absolutely right there.
It was a neck and neck
But
game.
like Coastal Carolina was what?
Well, I'm not trying to sit here and make a case for Coastal Carolina.
I'm just saying, like those types of teams, if it's 8, they'll never get in.
No, because it's not about an NCAA title. It's about the TV title. Who's going to draw the most ratings? Who's going to give you the most revenue? And that's really where we're at. But, the whole thing about how, first of all,
But that darling, though, in March Madness, I know it's 64 teams, but if you threw one team in every year that would somehow make that upset,
absolutely,
it makes all the difference.
And I get that you can't replicate March Madness with football, but don't act like you can't expand the playoffs when teams played almost every week of December this year.
Easiest thing to do, make it 8 teams, give your Power 5 there. As of the other 3 at-larges, the highest ranked Power 5 automatically gets in. So this year, Cincinnati would have gotten in at, what do you want to make them, 7 or 8? But they'd have been in there. Give those schools a chance. Otherwise, just completely rule it out now and let's get done with it.
Because you know what? If they don't beat the first or second seed, then you know what? It proves that they don't belong there. But what happens if they do? Just give me that puncher's chance. And then what happens to recruiting if you have some of these mid-major conferences that are able to say, we're going to be in the playoff because we know we can get there through rankings.
Yep.
All of a sudden, maybe they'll get a little bit better. Maybe Alabama doesn't get all the best guys.
Boise
you never
State
know.
proved that they could, that they belonged and that they could continually compete with the big guys. There's no reason they couldn't do that now. Boise State, Marshall, UCF, Cincinnati.
Overall, though, this has just been a really hard year to follow for college football. Like, it's not been the same, right? Like, is it just me, or is it like been really tough to try to really get into college football this year?
It has been, but it's because a team plays a game and then they don't play for another 2 weeks, and there's a COVID-related issue, a game gets canceled, then they can't find a team to play, but like a BYU, Coastal Carolina can play on 2 days. It was such a helter-skelter thrown together their season. I was really happy to get West Virginia through their season.
We were supposed to play Tennessee in a bowl game who was 3-7. Like, I'm it sucked that we had to play Army because Army's a better team with 9 wins. But my God, a 3-7 team in a bowl game? What's wrong?
Well, South Carolina was in at 2-8 originally.
2-8. That's insanity.
I mean, there was no consistency.
Well, if anything, this year has shown that college football is about nothing other than money. That's all it is.
Because they struggled through it, trying to make it work.
Right. And then when it came down to the bowl time, it wasn't about who had a record over 500. It was about who can give me the most TV viewership.
Here's the thing. If it was about anything other than the money, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 would not have had a season.
No. And they ended up having a season because of pressure, because they thought the SEC would follow suit, and they were like, nah, we're going to play.
So Alabama, Ohio State. Alabama's averaging a little over 48 points per game this year. Nick Saban, known for defense, leads the best offense in the country. Ohio State, if you want to go over the last 2 years, because they're going to play 6 games this season, is only giving up 15.5 points a game. You have to pick a winner on Monday night.
I'm taking Alabama all day long, and I'm telling you right now, Clemson was down this year. Everybody sees Clemson for the last 2 years. They lost a lot on defense. They lost a lot on skill positions. Just because they got Lawrence and Etienne doesn't mean everything, because they missed so many other positions. I thought Clemson was down. I'm not surprised Ohio State won that game, but I think Alabama is still the gold standard when it comes to college football, and they're going to show you that on Monday night. Well, since it's been a while since we talked, we're not going to make this an extremely long show, because we could, spend all night talking about randomness and things like that. The people may not find that interesting. But first, let me just ask you, we just got done talking about the college football playoff. The Heisman was awarded over the past week. We have a wide receiver that won it for the first time the third time ever, right? It was him, Tim Brown, Desmond Howard. Yep. DeVonta Smith. Did he deserve it?
Well, Jalen Waddle hadn't got injured, you probably wouldn't have known his name.
Well, he didn't play this year.
First time in 29, 30 years that a wide receiver won the award, which is crazy because Tim Brown and Desmond Howard won it within 3-4 years of each other. He put up amazing numbers. They're a great team.
I think it just kind of shows how bad quarterbacks really were this year. Like, because it's a quarterback award, and there was no quarterback that rose up high enough for you to go, ooh, let's give it to him. So this wide receiver, who just always seemed like the best player on the field, whenever he was on the field, he won the Heisman, and I'm pretty good with that. I concede any other vote. It goes to him.
2 quarterbacks I thought had it in the bag. It would be one of those two as the season went on: Kyle Trask and Trevor Lawrence.
Trash.
Trask.
That's your next Denver Broncos quarterback, probably.
Most likely.
Where he's going to be the next Drew Lock. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Do you think that any of the quarterbacks really should have won it, or you think this is the right guy?
No, I think the right guy got it for this year's best player. I think those two, it was there for them to take it, and they're going to be probably better pros, but the right guy won the award.
So is he going to the NFL next year, or is he young?
Who's that?
The
Trask?
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith? He's
Yeah.
going pro.
He's going pro. All right. Is Trevor Lawrence the best guy never to win the Heisman?
No, I want to say Peyton Manning.
That's a you know what? I can see that there
Yeah.
right there. I can't follow up with
He
that.
has the hardware.
Yes. He turned out to be a much better pro than what I envisioned Trevor Lawrence can be.
There you go.
All right, so let me ask you this question. There's a lot of coaching openings right now in the NFL, so you can be the Chargers, you can be the Jaguars. Would you rather be the head coach of the Chargers with Justin Herbert, or would you rather be the head coach of the Jaguars with their draft picks and possibly Trevor Lawrence?
To me, it's easy, and it's the Chargers because what's the most important position in football? Quarterback. You know who the quarterback is for the next 10, 12 years.
He's a proven commodity,
Yep.
right? What about you, Mr. Brown?
I got to agree. I mean, I guess, do you want to live in L.A. or Jacksonville?
Well, it's not
both
so much
are.
about the geographics. It's just
No,
look at
I mean,
the roster.
that's a factor.
I guess so. But just roster speaking.
Florida has no state income
No
tax.
state income tax. That's why Trevor Lawrence declared pro.
So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, Herbert's a proven commodity. As a Raiders fan, dude's going to be legit for the next 8 to 10 years or however long they keep him before,
True.
he outprices them.
So let me pin you guys down a little bit more. Is Justin Herbert going to be a better NFL quarterback than Trevor Lawrence?
If I have to answer right now, I say yes. Just before you make your decision, Mr. Brown, Josh Herbert came in as a guy who was drafted to sit this year, play behind a little bit, no
Still a
offseason,
stabbed
no
lung.
training camp.
Yeah, punctured lung.
Week 2, he starts. He didn't get first-team reps that week, and he balled out all year.
He does have the rookie
I'm
record.
going to take Joe Burrow. Is that
Joe
an
Burrow.
option?
You can take Joe
Yeah.
Burrow. If you take Joe Burrow over
He's a
Justin
right end.
Herbert, and
Yes.
that's not a bad pick.
If you get a line for the
well, hey, they lost
You
enough
must have to
games.
bleep out an F
They
word
lost enough games to where they can draft him.
get him a line, man.
All right, so between the two, I also think Herbert is going to be better than Lawrence because, and the crazy thing is, if you are a year away from now, you would say that Tua is the better guy to take than Herbert. And
I saw this great
that's
meme,
hindsight, right?
Right.
and at the top, because you have to read top to bottom, it said, I don't know what it is. Tua just has the it factor in
I
quotations.
saw the meme, right?
And
the it factor is having NFL talent surround you your entire
and
career.
Rager and Judy and
Well, he can have rugs all day. I'm just saying.
Hey, name me one NFL
Ruggs is
quarterback.
trash.
Name one NFL quarterback from Alabama that's been an All-Pro.
Joe Namath.
Wow, we're going that far back. We're going to 1968.
Speaking of that, Joe Namath didn't make our cut between the top 7 60s and 70s quarterbacks.
He did not.
That's how much trash Alabama quarterbacks
Well,
are.
he did throw more interceptions and touchdowns in
So
his career.
even Joe Namath's not making the cut.
Who's got a Chargers Joe Namath jersey out there? We want to hear from you.
If you exist, call, text, or email.
Either way. So the thing is, we're looking at some of these guys like Lawrence and even Tua. Like some of these guys, it kind of goes back to that rule of thumb that I always say. Like if you're coming from the elite schools, you may not be a good NFL quarterback because you're always playing with elite talent, right?
I agree. Well, hey, when we talk about Trevor Lawrence, it's like Patrick Mahomes. He blown the league away, Super Bowl MVP, league MVP. Amazingly talented. What did he do at Texas Tech? A lot of bubble screens, a little bit of scrambling.
Who, Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
No.
I know he threw the ball. Look at
Dude,
him.
he launched it.
He's got extreme talent. He went to the perfect situation to become an immediate league MVP behind Alex.
When was he drafted? When was Mahomes drafted?
10th or 11th. Kansas City moved up like 17
But was he
spots.
projected to even be that high? He was like
No.
a second-round pick.
That's what I'm saying.
And then
saw
they moved
something
up.
in him.
Everybody was like, oh, my God, this guy's got a laser cannon for an arm, and he's 6'5". Let's go get him.
They took a guy who had the right talent with the right coach. Now, he would have been good anyway, but sometimes where you go,
Timing is
how
everything.
good you are. Like Sam Darnold's got a ton of ability. He's never going to be crap playing.
I 100% agree. Look, I'm one of those guys. I'll tell you, I think Sam Darnold, if the Jets would stick with him, they might be able to get him at a low contract and be able to build around him.
I mean, they did interview Marvin Lewis today.
They did interview Marvin Lewis.
Maybe.
Looking for mediocrity, baby.
Yeah.
We're going to make the playoffs, but never win a game.
Exactly. 8-8, baby.
Jets would be happy.
8-8's the ceiling.
Part of me just died inside.
Exactly.
Go Bengals.
Yeah.
All right. So we know there's a lot of fun stuff coming up with the NFL draft. We got some fun quarterbacks, but we know our Heisman winner is definitely Devontae Smith, and he earned it because the rest of the quarterbacks did not decide to take it. And Trevor Lawrence is not the best quarterback not to win the Heisman. He's just, and also ran, but he might be the number 1 draft pick. He probably will. He'd be on the Jaguars. And is Urban Meyer going to be there?
I don't think Urban Meyer is going there because what I heard is he wants around $15 million a year, 12 to 15 to coach.
12.
And
you don't think the Shaws will,
I think they might be willing to dole it out, but here's the thing.
Shaws.
Look at Urban Meyer's college
Shaws.
career between Bowling Green, Florida, Ohio State.
Don't forget Utah.
with Alex Smith. The guy has never lost. If he goes to Jacksonville, he is going to lose, and he's going to lose a lot.
Well, I don't know. They have a lot of draft picks. They have a lot of cap space. Hey, speaking of this real quick, have you guys looked at cap space for next year on NFL teams?
I have. Patriots got $62 million.
Do you know how much the Saints have?
Aren't they negative like $700 million?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. So don't count on Drew Brees coming back.
No, he already said he's retiring.
He's got to. Like, there's
So
no
when he
way.
retires, that's got to free up something.
I mean, but still, I don't think they're paying him $72 million next year.
They did what the Patriots did the last few years.
million.
They were built to win a Super Bowl and win it now. Anything short of a Super Bowl this year is a bust for the
We'll
Saints.
talk off mic about this, but I got to tell you some of these cap spaces because it's mind blowing, and I don't know how these teams are going to make it work. They're legitimate playoff teams that just have to blow up their entire roster. It's insanity. Anyway, last little thing we got, 2 things actually. In the world of baseball, you know what? It's January, but it wouldn't be a January without a little hot stove action. And the Mets are making moves. The Mets, under new ownership, have decided they're going to kick down the doors and they're going to go after possibly the best shortstop in all of baseball. Mr. Brown, as our baseball resident, can you talk about what the Francisco Lindor move means for the New York Mets?
I mean, it means they're going to go for a wild card. I mean, what else you want to say?
That's better than missing the playoffs.
They're not winning the division. They're not.
So the Braves are still the front runner, which I can't say I adamantly disagree with that at all. But does this make the Mets a little more competitive? Or more importantly, do you look at the future as saying this team might be somebody that's more serious about taking risks to win now?
The Mets have always been a team that takes risks. The problem is they've taken on a bunch of bad
Stupid risks.
So just because Cohen's there and he's now the owner and he's going to spend money, it's got to be smart money. So that don't mean that, we're going to build a juggernaut here and then just do our thing. It's got to be good talent. We got to develop our players, and we'll see it. But, like, as a Braves fan, I'm not worried about the Mets.
You know what, though? For team,
if they go get Bauer, then yes, we'll talk.
Yes, that would be a game changer. But that being said, the Mets, as a blueprint foundational level, are not the worst team in the world to rebuild at. They're really not. So you add one piece like Lindor. Let's say they go do something else crazy here in the offseason. We could be having a different conversation in the matter of a month or two.
If you have DeGrom and you throw Bauer $35 million a year, and they got some pieces on offense.
I mean, you're lucky if you can get Bauer at a 1 or 2 year deal. That's all you're getting.
No, he's already said he's willing to go out there.
I saw where he said that he was looking for $35 to $40 million a year for 5 to 7 years.
Oh, he said he would go that far now?
Yeah.
But
35 per.
Rate.
35 per.
Yeah. 5 to 6.
That's a lot for a guy that only plays every 5 days.
Yeah.
Just saying. Either way, that's the type of money the Mets could spend. But we'll see what happens. But
I like the splash.
It improves their roster.
Like, you can't get mad about it.
What'd they give up for it?
They gave up both of their shortstops, basically, Rosario and Jimenez, and then 2 prospects.
All right, so not much.
So basically a whole middle infield and then 2 prospects.
And you're replacing it with a perennial all-star.
1-year All-Star unless you get an extension.
Unless you but that's the game. Like, you got to re-sign him, right? Or
if you don't re-sign him, it's a colossal failure.
It's a stupid move if you don't re-sign him.
They're buyers or sellers in late July.
They need to be buyers right now on Lindor.
It'd be hilarious if we went to the Yankees after this year.
Let's just cross the river. We'll go up to the Bronx instead of Queens.
That's right.
All right, last but not least, as we wrap up our show, guys, we have a show that all three of us kind of generally appreciate. And I got to say, I got a chance to binge watch it. And we're going to go ahead and give you the spoiler alert because I want to have this conversation. Season 3, Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai! You guys got a chance to watch, right?
I did.
Give me your thoughts, your feelings, your impressions. What's going on?
I enjoyed it. I had to go back and watch the last 2-3 episodes last year to make sure I picked up at the same point. One part of this season that I thought would be a little bit longer of like a show arc is Miguel getting back to fighting form.
Yeah, they rushed him back a little quicker. Maybe not to fighting form, but he's upright and moving around. To me, the thing I didn't want to see happen more than anything else
I know what you're going to say.
Is for Johnny and Daniel to team up, right? However,
and it was at the end.
It was at the end. However, that being the one thing I've told you from day one, I didn't want to see that. But man, Kreese is such a bad son of a bitch. Like, I almost didn't mind. Like,
I really enjoyed how they gave some of his backstory.
Even I have no empathy for him, though.
Why is this guy such an
No,
a-hole?
he's still an asshole. I have no empathy for him. I understand a little bit, but he's still a dick. But man, like, Kreese was such a bad guy in season 3 that it made me not mind Daniel and Johnny teaming up as much. Is that fair to say?
It took someone like the abrasiveness off of it.
Right. Like, I'm like, no, I get it. This guy's such a terrible guy. Go ahead and team up and make your own karate dojo.
Like, at this point, it's not even about you getting mad about it. I mean, to me, the way I took it was Kreese is such a badass.
So bad.
That they have to team up.
Like, you have
a
no choice.
chance.
No choice. He's so bad.
Like,
and he knows it.
Watching them Vietnam clips where he's fighting the dude up on the wooden balcony.
Yeah, they're on the bridge.
With the snakes down below.
And you know why it's Cobra Kai now.
Yes.
But you fight to the death until someone falls into the snake pit. I mean, hand-to-hand combat?
No, it's terrible.
I just love that when he's there and the planes are coming over top and he's like, all right, they're here, pull me up. Yeah, no,
I'm going to stomp on your ass. You're falling in the pit.
Yep.
All right, so that being
superior.
said, so Kreese,
Speaking of that right there, and he left on the phone call calling the guy who had said, anything in your life, rest of my life.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, who is that?
Who's
What's
that guy?
coming for next year?
So is it a guy from Nam, which I think it is, or could it be the guy that replaced Johnny in like the later movies? It could be that guy too. But either way, we have that to look forward to. What about when they tried to send the landlord to get rid of Johnny, or Kreese? I mean, they send the landlord to get rid of Kreese. And then he calls him back and creases over his shoulder while he's on the phone. Like, he got rid of the Turkish guys. He whipped their ass. And he's like, I can't make no deal. No. Like, it's fantastic.
I just love when they walk in there and he's got his nephews or whatever they are. They're coming in to make sure Kreese is like, I just cleaned the blood off of these mats. And he's like, what do you mean?
He's like, no deal.
And like, here's my thing, and this is completely off topic, but like, Kreese on the fighting scenes looks like a badass, even though he's like, what, 70?
They do a good job making it look good.
No, but like, Lawrence looks great, but LaRusso looks like a complete turd.
Yeah, a little bit. Especially like when he was doing the chosen scenes.
Everything he does looks like, to me, you can sell Johnny Lawrence like he's a fighter.
Because he is, though.
But LaRusso looks like he's a freaking ridiculous freaking turd.
Yeah. But Johnny's really karate. Like, so it's easier for him to make that.
So he's real life?
He's real life.
So Johnny's not, or LaRusso's not at all?
No, he's an actor. You know, but I mean, he's learned it.
Okay.
I mean,
Chad, is it you that has the picture with him?
Yeah, that was my kids at Kickmasters in Lavelle, Maryland.
So, like, his daughter, LaRusso's daughter, it trickles down.
She's the problem.
Because she's a turd, too, and she does her acting scenes.
Yeah, so see, it just transforms. Apparently,
I think the bad girl does way better acting scenes than LaRusso's daughter.
Hey, I'm just going to say right now, Tori, the bad girl, She all right.
She's too young
ask
for
you
you.
guys.
She's
You're both
all right.
happily married women. Hopefully,
just
your
saying
wives
she's
don't
all right.
listen. But
She's
if
too
you
young
were in
for
high
him.
school,
You guys are
would
taking
be
this and
dating
running with it.
Tori.
I'm just saying she's
we
all
would
right.
all be dating Tori.
All I'm saying is that the one looks like a fighter, and the other, LaRusso's daughter, looks like she needs to be doing some Pilates.
She's the problem with
She
the
needs
whole
to sit
damn
in a
thing.
corner and
She's
cry
got a
some
front
more.
butt.
Yeah.
You can't start a fight and then watch where someone else
Let's
gets their
fat
arm
shame
broke.
young ladies.
Front butt.
Front butts.
We got the girls with front butts doing karate out here.
Or
What are,
Pilates.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite or least favorite moment from season 3?
Favorite moment, I'm just going, I almost want to end the show on this, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you my favorite moment is when Johnny looks at Miguel and says, "Your legs are pussies."
I love Johnny, though.
It was great. And he taught him to walk through that exact motivation.
Why did Mohawk all of a sudden just change his mind out of nowhere?
Nah, it wasn't out of nowhere.
You can kind of see it
You
coming.
could see it coming. It was a slow build. Like when they were in the school and Johnny hits him up and he's telling him what's what, you could kind of see him like he wants to talk back. And then when Johnny answers, he's kind of like, oh crap, he might be right. But he still sticks to the sensei, right? But then that scene, like Miguel's his buddy and they're in the fight and he sees Miguel getting his ass kicked.
In the house.
Yeah, in the house. And he's just like,
Dimitri about to get his arm broke
again.
again.
Why are we here? I'm going to go take care of my boy. This is the guy that got the broken neck and stuff like that. So, bros before hoes, right? That's what happens.
Well, he had no hose.
Those three were
She-
the
she
nerd
turned
table to
gay.
begin with.
She found other hose.
She did. Either way. But that was a nice unexpected turn toward the end to see Hawk kind of go. And I'm looking forward to season 4 being nothing but Johnny and Daniel fighting over how they should teach karate.
I'm hearing there's 6 seasons now. It's already set in stone.
I can't wait. Like, I'm just sad that it took 3 days to watch it.
Yeah.
That was disappointing. I got through it and I'm like, now what?
I kept trying to tell my wife, I was like, it's okay if we don't watch this today. And then we kept putting it off, and then we still watched it in 3 or 4 days. And now we're like, now we got to wait.
And you know what's crazy is like season 3, like the average length of the episode was 40 minutes. It was the longest season we've had. And still, I feel like we all got
You have
through
so
it
much more
super
patience than
quick.
me. I watched it all on almost all of it in one day.
I tried to in one day, but my wife kept going to sleep, and I get
After
in
you guys
trouble.
kept me up late on New Year's night, I
Yeah.
could only watch a couple episodes New Year's Day when it came out, and I had to go to sleep.
That's what happens.
The last thing, though, Allie made a reappearance.
She did. We got a return of Elizabeth Shue.
That's
and,
huge.
And I thought it was going to screw things up for Johnny, but it really didn't. It kind of
He realized.
Yeah.
But he went out and he realized that what he had going on was what was better.
But my favorite thing is like when they go to the party at the night and they see Daniel and she's like, "Oh, you guys have already met?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we went to lunch. We did all kinds of things together."
We hung
He's
out
like,
all
"What?"
day.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Let me send these little digs in just to
Yeah.
get the better of you."
And then she realized real quick, though.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
was just
did.
like, what?
"Well, you guys are out of control."
She,
You know,
she realized it real quick.
She said the best statement ever was she said, "Both of you guys are right. Both of you guys are wrong. You're just not seeing each other's perspective."
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it's gone. But it's crazy.
And that's how it is in today's world.
It's 100% apt.
Yep.
But it's great that we're watching a show based on a movie from the early 80s that is this exciting. Like, and I know people that haven't watched it, like you're probably like, Cobra Kai. Like, it's a little cheesy. It can be a little corny.
It can be.
But, man, the storytelling's fantastic.
Well, see-
and you can predict it coming, but it doesn't make it any less fun.
It don't at all. But the problem for me is I never watched like anything other than Karate Kid, the first one.
Like the first one.
So then when they were going to
Like
Japan,
the Okinawa
Joseph.
stuff.
I didn't understand.
Chosen.
I didn't understand any of that.
Oh, that stuff was great. But they do a good job showing the flashback.
They do.
So at least you weren't completely
I
in the
understood
dark.
completely. It just
Right.
would have been better if I'd have watched it.
When he goes over there, you're like, all right, how's he going to save his company? He got shot down. And then when they tie it back together with
And
the
the little girl
flashbacks,
he saved in the monsoon
Yeah.
is the VP of, external relations or whatever. But the scene where Chosen's got Daniel and you think he's going to just end it and he goes, "Oh, God." That was great.
good.
That was perfect.
you know how long I've been waiting for that.
And then he went from being like this completely like mentally crazy badass to being like, and now I'm going to share some life lessons to make you a better karate sensei. Like,
Yeah, those pinch points.
it's great. Right.
And he used
And
on Kreese.
used them on
Pressure
Kreese. And Kreese still. Like, my favorite thing, like, so they get the fight at the house. Johnny kicks in the door. He goes to Kreese, and he starts whipping his ass. And then, like his son starts getting involved. And of course, his son is with Kreese. Like, how else would that work? Like, that's exactly how it's got to work. And he picks up the sai like he's going to do it. And his son's like, no, Daddy, don't do it. And he doesn't do it. And they keep fighting. And then when his son starts fighting him, he's trying not to. And he throws him into the locker and, of course, screws him up. And then Kreese gets the better of him. Daniel comes in. But Daniel's got him at the end where he could just end it. Yeah. And he doesn't do it. But I love the fact that Johnny went in there and whipped that ass off of Kreese for about 5 minutes. That was fantastic. Because Johnny's like the greatest guy.
Johnny is the greatest guy, but Kreese being 70, he's a freaking badass.
And you know what? I'm gonna give credit for the show, not to be over analytical here, but they had the sensei, the dojo's closed, it's dim lidded, so they do a good job of showing Kreese, and then they have like obviously another guy in there doing the stunt moves and stuff, but you can't really tell. Like they do a really good job on making you think those two are fighting.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying.
You're right.
Bravo. Great job. Anyway. I'm disappointed because we got what, like another year before we get another season?
At least a year.
Has anybody looked that up? When does season 4 drop?
I don't know. I'm guessing January 1st of 2021.
It's terrible.
2022. What year?
Let me drop this knowledge on you. Did you know that Will Smith is one of the executive producers for that show?
I did.
Good for you.
Do you know his tie-in goes back 10 years?
10 years. How's that?
Whenever
I can tell who's not in the executive position.
Hillary Swank?
No, Uncle Phil.
You are correct, sir.
Will Smith's been a part of it for a while. When his kid Jalen Smith did the Karate Kid remake.
I didn't think about that.
All right. Gotcha.
James Avery, God rest your soul. We love you. This has been the We Don't Know Sports Podcast. We'll see you next week. We're glad to be back. Hackers be damned. We'll see you then. Have a good one.